morning, everyone. Welcome to our Object-Oriented Programming course, OP using Java. This is our first video, which cover on the introduction part. Here's the overview topics that we're going to explore in this video. The first one is about the topics that we're going to learn regarding our Object-Oriented Programming course. And we will discuss our expected learning outcomes that we will get from our course. Third point is about the rules that we're going to discuss for the class management in order to operate our class more better. Tool and installations, we will use Eclipse. And we also provide you a list of resource documentations that you can explore yourself later regarding to the object-oriented programming, in which we select the top documentations for you. Before we end our sessions, we will explore some examples of using Java programming. So here is the course overview topics, and I believe that everyone have learned already the basic programming, as you can see in the right part, in the left part here. Topics relating to the data types, using integer, floating number, string, character, which are very basic that you need to use in order to write your program to store the data. And we also learn the conditions which are used to control the flow of the program in certain condition that you want your piece of code to execute it. In addition to this, you also basically learn about the array data structures, which store many data in single variables, and you can access to the data later using the index or the call position. We also learned about the loop, which are used for code repetition, covering on the three main types: for, while, and do while. And other main topics that you have learned is about functions, which are used to make your code more cleaner and better read. You can break down your code into small groups, okay? And there are different types called built-in and custom function, in which built-in they are already given from the library that you can use, just call the name and giving the parameter. With the custom function, it allows you to create your own function to adjust with your needs. So regarding to our topic in object-oriented programming, in this case we will use Java. So we will go through from the left hand side here, basic syntax in Java. We will explore how to use those basic data types, condition, array, loop functions, and some additional variables. For example, you can use a list of array, a list of objects, a list of elements, or hash map function, for example. We also learn a few more data types in Java. We will explore together using the condition, how we can use code repetition. Basically, they're all the same to C or C++ programming. We also learn on how to use the display command in order to display our data. We have variable, we have message, we can output our program. Okay. Also, we have another function in order to get input from user from keyboard. Either they put piece of text or numbers, you can get those data, okay, get user input. This is done through the scanner in Java. In the right part here in OP, mainly we will discuss about the class and objects. The core concept in object-oriented programming, they are class and object. So we need to learn about class and objects, which are very fundamental topics. And we will further discuss about methods, which are representing as functions. We have overriding function and overloading function. And we have another topics, access modifier, including public, private, protected, default, which has the access modifier key term that are used in our program. Okay. Either we add it into the class or the property variable. We have the constructor, inheritance, encapsulation, interface, abstraction, polymorphism. Last but not least, we'll explore a little bit about file or how to get and write file. Those are core components in object-oriented programming, as you can see on the right part here. It allows us for code usability, security, data hiding. We can show the interface or abstraction by hiding implementations of the body, so on and so forth. So do not worry, we will explore them all together. And next is about the course learning outcomes. Upon completion of this course, students will be able to use class and object in programming. In this case, we will use Java programming for our testing or practice or lab work, for examples. Mainly, we will implement the object-oriented programming concepts when we write our programs using Java, including class and objects, how to use the overloading and overriding functions, the inheritance for allow code usability. We have the class already created, and later on we want to use some of those features that already implemented before. You can create a new class and inherit from the existing one, okay, and reuse what already been defined. We have encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, interface. They are main core concepts in OOP. The third part is when we use OOP, it helps us to enable our code reusability, also our code structure more well organized, as well as clean code, which allows us to maintain our code easier later when you want to upgrade some versions or feedbacks. Yes, we can use those structure easily. Okay. Yes, we will use Java programming to write our codes. So Java programming can be applied to many applications, including a desktop application, web application, or mobile app applications. Okay. So in here, in top of this, many of the frameworks and library they use OOP concept. So it's very important that we should learn about OOP core concepts, and then in the future, when you explore more new technology, you are quite familiar with it. Okay. So here is our class management rules. So we require everyone to be on time coming to class, as well as the phone. Please turn it in silent mode or airplane mode. We will not allow the phone use during our class because we meet only very few hours a week. So if the best time to meet each other to discuss question and answer, so on and so forth. So please turn off your phone. And regarding our score evaluations, here's some of the criteria we cover in attendance, quiz, assignment, lab work, project, and final exam. As you can see here, it's involved about work-based evaluation. Exam only evaluated for 20%. If you lost other activities, you didn't do any school works, then we have assigned, yes, you basically don't get higher score. Okay. So we keep in mind it is related to work-based or project-based class. We will use our learning management system based on Moodle, where we upload our assignment material, and you can do some quiz sometimes online using our Moodle system. Okay. And in our practice session lab work, we use Java programming to explore all together. And here are some of the tools. But basically, we will use the Eclipse IDE. You can access with this link, eclipse.org/downloads, and navigate to a place where we have a button download. And next, after you download it, just double click, and then you will see a pop-up dialog asking you which part of program that you want to install. We'll choose Eclipse IDE for Java developer, because in Eclipse it can be used for many other programming languages. After you select the Java, and then you will be prompted to install this application. So make sure you have the internet connected stable, and wait about 5 or 10 minutes depending on your internet connection. Okay? So this is really solve the tool, which you can later access the programs in your computer. Okay, the name is Eclipse. Next is about the documentation, where you can explore more details. We have selected the really related and most topics programming in OOP, books, as well as the link online. Okay. So thank you for your attention. Before we end our session, we will go through a little bit about the basic programming in Java. So in Java, it's everything have the structures. We have class, we have main program, for example. As you can see, we have the class main, public static void main. Main is play an important function role that allow our program to run when we click it to run, right? It automatically activate. It's just actually a function as well. So in here we write a program in order to get a text, a piece of text from user, and then display on the screen. So in Java, in order to get the text, you can use the scanner. This is called scanner. You create a scanner object from the existing class. So when you create a scanner, you need to import the library scanner. As you can see on the top line, import java.ut.scanner, which is the scanner class existing in Java. Okay, you can create object later in here. We use the system out of print line in order to display the message on screen, and then create a variable and then activate the object to use the function to get input. So in this case, we get text, so we use what we call next line, as you can see in here. And lastly, we can display our message on screen with a welcome message or whatever you want it to be. In order to display variable together with text that you display, we use plus symbol, as you can see here, plus symbol. It will concatenate your information altogether. So in case that you want to get input in terms of different data types, example integer, floating number, you can use different method as well. For example, next line in here, it reads the string from user. In case you want to get number, yeah, you can use next in for integer number. Okay. The second example in here is a Java program that allow you to do summation for a set of number from 1 to 100. Basically, you use for loop, right? For loop start from 1, the condition is less than or equal 100. The increment is I equal I plus 1. Increment 1 by 1. Okay. So we start with s equals 0, which is the summation. For each time that our program runs in the loop, we try to keep incrementing the variable s by I in here, right? Why we say s equal s plus I at line 8. It means that s it keep incrementing by I, right? Okay. Basic programming that we learned before. It's the same to CSV programming structure. So lastly, we can display our sum message. The next program in here, it is used to get the input in terms of the A, B, and C, which is, let's say, coefficient of equation, quadratic equation. And then we can compute the data using the formula b squared minus 4 times A times C. And then we study the case that when data is 0, greater than 0, less than 0, what we should do. Okay. So the same step in here, you can use the condition if, else. Okay. So in case of delta is negative number, you can explore further about the complex root, right? Because you can divide the formula into something that you can calculate. Okay. So in here we divide to P and Q, where P equal minus B over PA. So in here we convert this data into floating numbers, double. It's because that B is an integer, A also integer. When you do the operation integer over integer, you will get integer. So remember that operation that involve with floating number, at least one operand in the division, so that you can get the floating point number. Okay. If they all are integer, basically in programming you don't get the floating point number. For example, 5 over 2, if those are integer, defined as integer number, you will get only 2, not 2.5. Okay, we remember that. So in case in here we use typecasting. For the solution, you just create A and B and C as float. Okay, and make sure that you use a next float for the scan command, and so on and so forth, and you get the result. Okay. So I think that's it for our first video. Thank you for your attention. We will explore all together in the next video.